Well, welcome everyone to the ScreamCast, podcast covering pretty much all things Scream Factory. I'm your host, Sean DeRager.
I'm Brad.
I want to thank everyone for listening to our first official podcast. I think we got some good feedback. No virtual tomatoes thrown at us yet, so I would say it's a success.
We don't know yet. We have to get a few more under our belts.
I know. Well, for those who checked out the first episode, thank you very much for checking it out. I do need to give a couple shout-outs this week that I forgot to do last week. I need to do a shout-out to Tom Nixt. He was our 100th Twitter follower. He's at Tom Nixt on Twitter, N-I-X-T. He actually has a wrestling podcast that, of course, I'm not prepared, and I didn't have the name of his podcast written down. But follow Tom.
Here we
Tom
go.
Nixt. It's in his introduction. It's in his little header on Twitter. And then also shout out to Dead as Hell podcast. They were our first iTunes review, so they gave us a pretty good review on there. So follow them. I believe Dead as Hell HP on Twitter. Follow them there and check out their podcast.
I think when you hit 100 Twitter followers, that's when you know you really made it, right?
I think so.
Yeah. I think we can also just quit the show because I think we made it. I can die a happy man.
Did we? Okay, my bank account's filling up, so
And
today we got a pretty good show lined up for you. I'm pretty excited about it. We're going to be talking to Big Ass Spider producer Travis Stevens. He's on the Skype call with us right now. We're going to be reviewing the Darkman Blu-ray put out by Scream Factory. And we have music by There.
Each there is spelled different. You got to say that because that ruins it. It's a surprise.
Yeah. I don't know. These hipster bands these days, I don't understand them. But anyway, members of Into It, Over It, and Owen started up that band, so it's kind of a cooler group. All right. Like I said, we have a special guest this week. We're talking to Travis Stevens. He's produced movies such as The Aggression Scale, A Horrible Way to Die, the upcoming documentary Jodorowsky's Dune, as well as Big Ass Spider, the documentary Big Ass Spider. His current flick... I'm just kidding.
You mean just mention Cheap Thrills? That's what everybody wants to hear.
No, that's what I'm saying. His current flick, Cheap Thrills, has just hit VOD and will hit theaters on March 21st. Please welcome Travis Stevens to the ScreamCast. Enter applause here. Travis, thanks for joining us tonight.
Can I tweet some applause at you guys?
Yeah, please tweet some applause at us.
I'll do so. Hello.
What's up, man?
So have you guys seen a documentary called Unhung Hero?
No, I have not.
Played South by Southwest last year, apparently. And that's what I was doing before jumping on the call, watching with my wife a documentary about a gentleman who proposed to a girl on camera, and she denied him, and it was because his wang was too small. And then he made a documentary about that.
Wow.
So what is his name? Patrick something, but he's at Unhung Hero on Twitter. So I'm going to... I apparently already follow him. That's strange. Anyways, yeah. So get a chance, watch it. It's very interesting.
I don't know. Us,
dude, that sounds interesting. At least,
yeah. Us in the small wing community I don't know if I can handle.
Listen,
that.
if we band together, we can give joy to at least one woman.
Right.
So yeah.
If we all get together.
Yeah. No, at the same time. That's what I'm saying. And with some rubber bands, it'll be fine.
Yes.
All right. I'll be over in 5 minutes. Let's just cut the podcast now. I'll be over.
Dear God Almighty, where have we sunk to?
Yeah, I know. That's the problem with the PM podcast. The wine gets involved, and
yes.
Yeah. Anyways, so that's what I was doing. In case you were wondering what I was doing.
Well, how do we jump into interview questions now? Is what I'm wondering.
I think we're interviewed by Travis at this point.
I know. Well,
yeah. Sorry about that.
I'm just gonna steamroll. I'm just gonna steamroll into this, Travis. A lot of people talk about directors and writers when discussing movies, but I think the producers of the film can be considered, and this is totally unplanned, but producers of a film can be considered the unsung heroes of a film project.
Oh my God!
Yeah, I know.
Awesome.
Let's just say
unhung heroes.
There you go.
So basically, how did you originally get into producing films? You have quite a handful of films under your belt as a producer.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. And I'm saying that as somebody who obviously goes, through it every day. But I think there's a perception of producers that's maybe based on an outdated model, and sort of the way producers have been represented in movies and stuff. I just think there's sort of this caricature of somebody who's sitting there, smoking a cigar and is rich and, just wants to make money, and the poor artist has to struggle against them. And, it's like, at least in my experience, I wish I had money and I was smoking a cigar and could just yell at people and be in a hot tub and just have half naked Swedish volleyball team members around me. But, no, I mean, I think, I work a lot with sort of first-time directors, and at this point have focused a lot on sort of genre films that are trying to do things that are more interesting than typical horror films. And a lot of times the job is really sort of helping the filmmaker define and sort of express their ideas in a way that is going to be successful. So for me, it starts a lot, at the concept stage all the way through the script development, where sort of helping work an idea to the point where it's something somebody would want to invest in, and also something that an audience would connect to. And then on set, it's sort of the same, where you're just sort of helping the director and everybody sort of execute the idea in such a way that it holds together as a sort of watchable film. But it's not something, if you're really successful, then the director and the writer and the actors and everybody sort of gets their accolades, and it's good. But there's not a lot of people like, oh yeah, that was a really well produced film. Because what does that even mean? Because I don't think people are aware of what actually producing is.
Yeah, and that's one thing I always notice. Because of course I've seen you at Fantastic Fest and spoken to people who know you, and you're really, really involved with the projects that you work on. And I think that's great because, like you said, a lot of people think producing is just somebody maybe sitting behind a desk and saying, yes, let's do this. But you're there, working your ass off, and it's great. And I think that's what a lot of more, especially independent filmmakers need, are producers that are there, that are working with them, instead of kind of, because it's always a thing is, Hollywood producers are just, they run the show. And you always hear those stories of, producers that it's not even up to the director anymore. It's just the producers telling people what to do. And, working at the independent filmmaking is completely different from all aspects, not just from you, but just from other people I've heard. Indie producers are just great to work with because it's just like one of the crew. So I think that's pretty cool.
I mean, I kind of think of it like the 13th Warrior, where it's just a bunch of dudes getting in a boat, and you're gonna row out, and you're gonna go to war, and hopefully you're gonna successfully kill the beast and come back and be victorious, and you sort of need that all hands on deck, and everybody's going to, get some blood on them and just go for it, Yeah. And this could just be because at this budget level, I mean, maybe at the bigger budget levels, it's not such a battle. Maybe everything's easier, but at least for me and the people I've worked with, I mean, that's sort of the mindset.
Yeah. Now, when someone comes to you with a project, what are some things that you like, key things that you look for, like in the script, or anything that you look for before you actually commit to raising money for the film or getting behind it?
Yeah. I think it just has to be doing something interesting, something I haven't seen before, or
like a big ass spider.
Yeah, well, I mean, like even Big Ass Spider, which is
Yeah.
is that's a ham and cheese sandwich, but the when it came to me and it was Dino Spider, and it was like a challenge where they were like, hey, what can we do to make this better? And it was like, all right, I want to do like a Sci-Fi Channel movie, but with that challenge of, hey, how do we make this cool? Then it was like, all right, let's find the right filmmaker to come in, and it sort of became the process of trying to figure out a way to do a movie within that framework that actually was warranted its existence, unlike I think most of those movies that do.
Yeah.
But in general, I mean that was kind of an exception where it was kind of like somebody came to me and was like, hey, we want to make a movie in this genre, make it good. But usually it's just somebody I've known or a friend or a filmmaker I respect, and they say, hey, I got this idea for something, and if it's set in, it's either got to be doing something completely new, or saying something that I personally respond to, or if it's in a sort of existing subgenre, it has to flip the script on it in an interesting way. So if it's a haunted house movie, okay, what's going to make this movie different? If it's like Big Ass Spider, what can we do to make it different? So that's pretty much it. I mean, because it's like you're not really making tons of money, so you want to be doing something that at least is creatively fulfilling.
Yeah. Yeah, it was something with Big Ass Spider that I definitely noticed, because I'm not a big sci-fi fan, but I know Mike Mendez is behind it, and I really, really love The Grave Dancers. So when I heard this was coming out, I was intrigued. I was still kind of, a little bit skeptical, but one thing that really hit with, I think, Big Ass Spider, and I don't like if people just dismiss it because it looks and kind of feels like a sci-fi movie, but the writing and the comedic aspect is absolutely hilarious, and that saves in a film on so many levels. Not I'm targeting Big Ass Spider, but any film with good writing, because the characters in that film just had me cracking up the entire time. And usually you look at those films and you're laughing at the subject matter or the stupidity, versus this was legitimately funny and kind of a, just that opening with the, the cover of Where's My Mind, with Greg walking through, like just the blast and everything. It just started off and it grabbed you right away. And I've seen the sci-fi movies, and this one hit certain things that was completely different. So
yeah, those sci-fi movies aren't even on the level of what Big Ass Spider is, and it seems like they try to be. I mean, it was like Big Ass Spider got all the aspects right that all the sci-fi movies just get wrong. There's actual genuine humor as opposed to kind of forced, let's just try to be dumb humor. Like there's genuine wit in the script that had me, especially with the security guard. The dynamic between them. Those two characters.
Yeah, hilarious. I mean, it's funny. It's like, the secret ingredient to making a good movie is actually giving a shit, Right. And I think with a lot of those movies and a lot of TV movies, the formula is what the network is buying. So the people producing the film just know that they need to hit the formula, the structure, the cast element, there's certain boxes that need to be checked. And actually caring about making a good movie is not nearly as important to getting the movie made as checking the boxes. And the reason why Mike was, the best person for that job is because he actually cared. he's like, all right, so it's a goofy concept. What can I do to, get excited about this, and what can I do to make this interesting? And when the actors came on board, Greg and Lombardo, who played Jose, it's the same sort of thing. You're creating this environment where it's like, all right, guys, this is the toolbox we have. What can we do to make something fun and interesting? So the actors start riffing on it. And then all of a sudden, Mike's like, all right, that's cool. Let's give that room to breathe. And the next thing you know, you have something with a pulse, and it's, it's fun. And sure, we're still hitting the same structure as a sci-fi movie, but at least we're, the movie is existing on its own terms beyond that.
Yeah, I got to ask you, and then we'll move on from Big Ass Spider, I promise. But how did you guys get past the ratings board? And maybe it's just me being a parent, because I saw, Big Ass Spider, and I was like, well, my son he loves Godzilla movies. He's 6 years old, and he's seen every single Godzilla movie except for the Roland Emmerich one. I won't allow him to watch that one.
Yeah.
Every single one of those, he's seen Gamera, and he loves those things. So I figured, this would be a perfect thing for me and him to sit down and watch. My daughter decided she wanted to watch it too, so we're all kind of watching it. And I'm like, it's PG-13, we'll be all right. And then there's a scene going through one of the park, a park in L.A. Very similar to a park that I destroyed when I was playing Grand Theft Auto 5. But at any rate, the spider's going through this park and just impaling, person after person. And I'm kind of sitting there watching and going, this is a little bit heavy for a 6-year-old. And, but then I look up and my son is looking at me just crying his eyes out. So I was like, okay.
That's on my shoulders now.
Shitty parent of the year right here. So I turned off the movie and calmed him down, and he's fine with the spider. He's fine with it jumping out, but it was the impalings that got him. And he's like, I'm going to have nightmares, It's just, I
don't know, because it is. I mean, like a dude gets torn in half. Like I don't, what the MPAA is thinking. Like maybe because it's in the daylight and it's a big cartoony monster. But yeah, I mean, I'm surprised. Like a guy gets his face melted. Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
I personally apologize to you.
It's fine. I'm sorry. It's my poor parenting skills. It's okay. But then again, my parents took me to Gremlins, and I, was on the floor. Actually, I asked them to take me to Gremlins, but that's beside the point. And I was on the floor of the theater crying my eyes out as soon as the old lady went up the stairs in her electric stair thing and out the window.
Mm-hmm. How did you not laugh, though?
I don't know, man.
Because that's hilarious.
I know, but I
guess I'm just a demented little shit when I was little, but man, I thought that was hilarious.
I was 6 years old, and old lady died. I don't know. Someone's grandma died. That's all I know.
But she was a bitch.
I know. I guess I was too young to grant the concept of a bitchy woman, I guess. Anyway, we'll move on from Big Ass Spider, but so we've talked a little bit about kind of the creative pull that you have during these movies. Do you feel like you're kind of a teammate with the director? Do you make suggestions, or is it all kind of, do you just give the control to the writer and directors of the film? What's your kind of work relationship with the creatives, I guess, of the film? Yeah,
I think it adjusts depending on the dynamics on that particular film. Mm-hmm. So some films you have to be a little more involved. In some films you can sort of be a bit more passive. But yeah, I mean, going into it, and again, I work with a lot of first-time filmmakers, mm-hmm. so you're both a safety net and sort of a wilderness guide. I mean, it's you just kind of have to adjust depending on the situation.
Right.
I mean, the goal there is to help the person successfully accomplish what they're setting out to do. And sometimes that's by proposing a different approach, and sometimes that's by, shutting up. Yes, I don't know. Yeah, I'm really hands-on, but only when I think it's necessary.
Well, that's I mean, that's was a little awkward silence there for a second, so I'll just start speaking. No, I mean, I think that's right, and but also my question is that you're a busy dude, so how much of these? I mean, are you at every one of these sets as much as you possibly can be? I mean, because I know, you know, some of them were filmed a couple years ago, but still, I mean, just the lineup alone in the past, I would just say 3 years for you. You've been a busy man.
Yeah, no, the first one we shot in 2010, A Horrible Way to Die, and I've done 10 since then. And your sort of workflow on each movie is about 3 years. So you have, you know, on average a year to 2 years in development, then a year during the production phase, you know, from pre-production through editing, then a year on the festival circuit, and then you're still doing the sort of you know, the accounting and the taxes and everything. So I guess it's like 4 years span on each movie. And the thing is like my company, it's me. So it's, you know, I mean, I partner with different people on different movies, but a lot of the times it's, you know, everything from the development through the accounting is sort of coming through my laptop. So yeah, it gets to be, it's really fucking busy. And my wife is like, what are you doing? But, you know, if like I used to sweep floors for like 14-hour night shifts as a janitor. It's like I would much rather be killing myself making art than, you know, doing that. So it feels like a blessing, even though it's exhausting.
Yeah. Well, you've been, like we said, you've been busy producing all these films. I know that you helped, I don't know if you wrote or you helped write Summer's Moon. Do you plan on getting back into directing anything anytime soon, or writing or anything like that?
Why don't we just take a moment to just think about Summer's Moon? What a
I haven't seen it, so
I highlight in genre filmmaking.
Release, but yeah, I don't really remember it. We'll just skip that.
That was my real firsthand sort of like lesson in how something awesome can turn into something awful, like right in front of your eyes, you know. And it's like, because it had been a project that I had been trying to get going, and we brought on different writers, and like Evan Katz, who directed Cheap Thrills, was somebody that I brought in, and Simon Rumley, who did Red, White, and Blue, was somebody I brought in. I mean, we had like really developed that, and finally I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'll just write a draft myself just to get it on paper, and then at least people will get the idea. And so it was like, oh, that's great, let's finance it. It's going to go into production, and then just during the production, it was like Ashley Greene comes out and she's like fully clothed, and they go to chain her to this garden that she's supposed to be a part of, and I'm like, wait a second, she's like fully clothed. Like, what is this? And they're like, no, he's going to keep her fully clothed. I'm like, wait a second, the guy like chains girls up in his basement, like fully clothed? Like, what kind of weirdo is this? I mean, he's chaining girls in his basement to like have sex with them. Like, wouldn't he want them to at least be in their underwear or something? And it wasn't even that she had a problem with it. It was just like, it didn't occur to anybody that we were making like a horror film, and that would probably be something. Anyways, so yeah. I'm
sorry to peel open the scab of Summer's Moon.
Great, podcast is over.
But I mean, no, that's actually a good thing. It was a valuable lesson in sort of protecting the integrity of your idea. Mm-hmm. And if you know it's important to you, then you have to be the one calling the shots.
Right.
And you know, I'm totally grateful to the people who made that movie, and everybody who worked on it, and everybody worked really hard. But you know, it was a lesson, and you know, I've been fortunate since then to be the one that says no, this is important, let's push it, or you know, here's what the essence of the idea is, and here is why what you're suggesting undermines that. Mm-hmm. And you know, it seems to be working so far, where you know, even if the movies are low budget or uneven at certain points, at least they feel like they have their integrity, you know.
Yeah. So I gather you're going to be sticking to producing, or do you have anything that you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's something. It's come up a bunch.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing yet. I think if I do something, it'll be more like Lars von Trier style, where it'll just be hopefully
women turned up in basements.
Yeah, exactly. No, but so I don't know. I like making movies, but I like making movies, with collaborators, and I'm not sure if I'm going to be the captain yet. Okay. So, but thank you for asking.
Hey, no problem.
This is another awkward silence. I'm just going to start talking.
That means it's your turn, Brad.
I'll just ask the question.
Yeah. I'll edit. Don't worry about it. I'll edit.
Oh, you're going to edit that out? You're going to edit my, breaking the silence there.
Yes.
Fix it in post.
So we'll sound professional.
Well, no, just leave it in. Just leave it in. Everybody can hear how I'm a dumbass, and I didn't know that was my cue to start speaking.
I would like a British accent from this point forward. Is that okay, mate? Try fixing this in post, wanker.
I can do a Russian accent. I don't know how much I can do a British accent, but I don't know. I think I might throw people off. I'm not ready for that.
I'm not ready to piss off any other continents. It's okay.
No, well, I could think of something with since this is a Scream Factory podcast and we haven't actually spoke about them yet. How would you feel if something that you are recently producing and trying to find distribution? Because I mean, not everything that you any filmmaker in general, you don't start off with distribution right away. How would you feel if they came to you and proposed a deal? With kind of like the record that they have at this point, and also picking up newer films because they've released like 2 or 3, and they have like 2 or 3 more on the way. How would you feel about that?
Well, as somebody who doesn't have any undistributed films, I wouldn't know how to answer. No, yeah, I mean it's awesome. I mean, I think with a lot of distributors, it's sort of being an aggregator of taste, and. Yeah, I'm excited. It's funny because I was in Toronto this weekend at a video store just shopping for things, and like a bunch of the Nest was one title I was looking at. What was another one? There was another one. Oh, I don't see it now, but yeah, I mean it's great, and it's nice that there's companies out there willing to sort of gather, these movies. Maybe they're not the biggest commercial successes, but there's merit to them, and at least give them a chance. So I'm all for it.
Cool.
Do you have any favorite releases so far? Like, have you started collecting some of these titles, or?
No. I have not. I went through.
Man.
Yeah, no, but I mean, it's. I mean, I hate to say it, but I'm so sort of VOD and sort of digital, like that. That's the way I'm consuming most of the films I watch, and a lot of them tend to be sort of newer stuff. So it's like I'll go through spurts of trying to fill in catalog stuff. But I've been through this since. Like when I first moved to LA, like collecting VHSs, and I had this extensive VHS collection. And then over the course of moving like 3 or 4 times, that dwindled down. And then, okay, I'll replace it with the DVD collection. And then that, got stolen and dwindled down. And then, okay, then Blu-ray. So it's like, I've really got to the point where just that idea of digital and having access to it when you need it, like really worked for me. But today I spent $200 on Criterion Blu-rays, but it's a half-off sale. But
that's right. Yeah, their half-off sale ends at noon.
Mad Fox.
Mad Fox is your code you put in. You can get Blu-rays for $20.
Yeah.
Don't tell me that, because I'm going to spend a bunch of money and my wife's going to get pissed off at me.
Oh, I did watch Cat People this weekend.
Oh, nice.
The Blu-ray. Oh, my God. It's so good. So good.
We'll have to cover that soon. That's next in line for me to buy for sure.
Yeah.
I honestly with they release like It's like their fourth Kinski film. I just can't get past that guy. I've always it's just one. He's always creeped me out since can I remember, man. And every film, like it's every time Scream Factory releases something, Klaus Kinski's in it. And I'm like, oh god, he just gives me the creeps.
Yeah.
Anybody else like that? No, just me.
No.
No, I heard a creepy story about him though.
Oh yeah, that's another thing. That made it worse because it was always like that. And then that creep. Are you talking about the whole daughter thing?
Yeah, which I didn't know. I didn't know, and I'm watching cat people like totally being a scumbag, and then that piece gets passed along, and I just felt bad.
No, and it changes. It does really change the movies for you because it was bad for me. Now it's even worse because I'm like, he's getting all angry with these ladies, and I'm like, ugh. Yeah. But
should we ruin everyone else's experience of cat people? And I honestly haven't heard the story. So
oh well, I don't
should
think
we bring the podcast down? Google it.
No, that's a terrible story. Let's yeah.
It's hearsay.
If you really want to know, look it up. But let's not get into that because it just kind of creeps me out.
Google that shit and then tweet us. Okay.
There you go.
All right. Hey, Travis, why don't you give us go ahead and we're going to give you some time to kind of plug the releases you have coming up. You have a couple coming up here in March for theatrical, and then you have a few titles that you're working on as well.
Yeah, so currently on VOD in the United States is a title called Cheap Thrills, directed by Evan Katz, that Draft House Films put out. And it comes out, they're going to put it in theaters next month, March 21st. We are currently doing a fun little promotional game called Share to Dare, which basically if people on Twitter tweet enough Share to Dare, hashtag Cheap Thrills, request filmmakers, and people will do dares. So today I had the pleasure of putting a live mouse into my underwear,
nice.
Which really, this is what independent filmmaking has come to, where you're basically doing jackass stunts trying to encourage people to watch a movie.
The glamour.
Which for cheap, yeah, exactly. No hot tubs.
It works though. It works. I'm ready.
Well, hopefully. So that it's a fun movie. It's a wicked indictment of the American dream. So hopefully people will enjoy that. Jodorowsky's Dune, Sony Classics is putting out on the same day theatrically, March 21st, which is about Alejandro Jodorowsky's failed attempt to bring Frank Herbert's Dune to the big screen back in the 70s. And it is a movie about his failure to do so, but how sometimes failing to make art doesn't mean you can't still have an influence over the world. And that was a lot of fun. It premiered in Cannes and played Toronto and Telluride and Fantastic Fest and picked up some awards. So anybody who's a fan of making films or Alejandro, should definitely check that out. March 8th at South by Southwest, we're premiering Dennis Woodmere and Kevin Kolsch's Starry Eyes, which is cult tale set in Hollywood, kind of like Rosemary's Baby type movie about a struggling actress who thinks she gets her big break, and it turns out she loses her soul. I don't know. I just totally whiffed the log line there, but basically, it's another movie about about just fucking how ugly ambition and the price of success can be. And then we just wrapped Ted Giggins' We Are Still Here, a 1979 set haunted house movie with Barbara Crampton from You're Next and Larry Fessenden from You're Next and a multitude of other awesome films. Andrew Sensenig from Upstream Color and Lisa Marie from Mars Attacks. So
cool. I'm excited for that one. Anything set in the 70s and dealing with a haunted house, I'm in.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's in New England, so you get
that's
lots
a hook
of
right there already. Is 1970 haunted house movie.
Yeah,
I'm ready.
So hopefully, and I think people will have fun with it because, like I was saying earlier, it's like okay, it's not just enough to we're not trying to do a low budget Conjuring. It's like, all right, what is going to make this movie sort of stand on its own feet? And this shit gets crazy in it. I guarantee you have not seen a haunted house movie like this. There's so much bloodshed in it. It's fantastic.
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah, I think Barbara Crampton actually tweeted a picture of the cameraman like completely like covered in plastic. I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the way it was for most of the shoot. It was Kareem Hussein, who was the cinematographer who did Hobo with the Shotgun and Theater Bazaar and stuff. So he was prepared for the blood coming at the lens.
Well, I think with that, we're gonna take a quick break, and we'll come back and talk about Darkman. Travis, you gonna hang around and talk a little Darkman with us?
I think I'm gonna go back and watch my documentary about the guy with the small dick.
Okay.
Or I can hang out. Either, whatever you guys want.
That depends if Travis likes the music or not.
Yeah.
Oh, that's such a good transition. I'm almost like, all right, later. But if you want to hang out and talk Darkman, Travis, you're totally welcome to. If you got to take off, that's fine too. So it's up to you, man.
No, I would love to.
All right, cool. Well, we're gonna jump into a break here. This band is called There. Features Evan Weiss from Into It Over It, Mike Kinsella from Owen and American Football, and Cap'n Jazz.
No joke, Cap'n Jazz is one of my favorite '90s bands.
So good.
And I had a chance to see them when they reunited a couple years ago.
Wow.
Very stoked.
And then also Matthew Frank from Loose Lips Sink Ships. This is their song New Blood from their new-ish EP called Analog Weekend. You're listening to the Screamcast. There, all spelled differently, with the song New Blood. Is from their EP that just came out late in 2013, called Analog Weekend. It's coming off of Top Shelf Records is the record label that put that out. And it's a pretty good EP. I dig it. So you should check it out. All right, well, we have Travis Stevens is going to hang out and talk a little bit of Darkman with us. We're going to talk about Scream Factory's one of their newest releases, Darkman, out on Blu-ray. This is the second time Darkman's come out on Blu-ray, but I
own the previous Darkman release on Blu-ray, and I have this. And even though I'm kind of biased with Scream Factory already, it is small improvement. It's equivalent to like Halloween 2 was already previously released on Blu-ray, and this is Scream Factory's version. And they touch it up here and there, and of course the sound I think is an improvement.
Yeah.
Because I've owned both. But yeah, it's definitely a nice upgrade. I know that people don't want to necessarily, because you're already purchasing, VHS to DVD and then DVD to Blu-ray, and now you're going to do Blu-ray to Blu-ray. It doesn't make much sense. But I mean, if you're a fan of Darkman, which I haven't really met anybody that hasn't liked Darkman, and if you haven't seen it, it's definitely an experience. And if you're a fan of comic book movies, even though this isn't necessarily a comic book movie, but it has the feel for it 100%. And it's a nice upgrade. And of course, if you don't own Darkman, there you go. Just buy this.
Buy it. We can go around real quick and just kind of give us our kind of history with Darkman when you guys first saw it and everything like that. So I'll go and start. I initially saw this originally on VHS. I'd never seen it. Didn't see it in the theater. I know it came out the year after Tim Burton's Batman. So I was a huge Tim Burton's Batman fan, and
you would be,
of course. And so when this came out, I don't even remember really seeing trailers. I just knew it was there, but I never really had the desire to see it, as a kid. And and I would always see it kind of on cable, and I would always watch a little bit of it and never really see it all the way through. But when I first started buying VHS tapes, when I was in college, this was one of the first VHS tapes that I bought. I bought this, and I think the double VHS set of like the Terminator or something like that, Terminator 2 or something like that. So this was one of the first VHSs that I bought, and then of course I bought on DVD, and then I skipped the Blu-ray, the original Blu-ray, because there's no special features or anything, so I never went out and grabbed it. And then I heard about the Scream Factory copy, so I bought this. So I saw it for the first time when I was in college, and I dug it. It wasn't like my favorite movie, and I didn't even realize at the time I'd only known Sam Raimi from like Evil Dead, and didn't even put two and two together that he directed this at the time. So it was always one of those, like, it was okay, but I always kept buying it. So, Travis, what's your experience with Darkman? When did you first see it?
I think I saw it in theaters, and was really sort of, I just couldn't wrap my head around it at the time. Like, I was like, wait, what? No, this isn't awesome. This is like silly, and it's like making jokes. Like, I thought it was supposed to be badass. Now, in hindsight, I realized that was me being an idiot, as a teenager. But yeah, that sort of mix of sort of, arch comic book sort of and over the top villains and stuff. Like, I wasn't ready for it. But you watch it now, and it is a Spider-Man movie. There's whole sequences with the helicopter where he's hanging from him, sort of going through the city, and the sort of climax happening on the skyscraper. It's so there, and it's crazy that he did it, way back then with the resources he had. I mean, I'm actually surprised that they gave him so much money to make sort of an original property. Yeah.
And I think that, obviously, I said this, whenever actually, when Spider-Man first came out, which I was a little younger at the time. But if it wasn't for I don't think Darkman, like, I don't know if Raimi would have actually got that job. I mean, it seems when I was younger, that's what I thought. It's like, man, whoever like thought of like, let's pick a director to direct Spider-Man. It's like they watched Darkman that night and were like, this guy, we need to have him do it, because it just felt like a total comic book movie, and it's just it's a superhero film without having any exposition with comic books and backstory and all this stuff. It was just something brand new, but so it's just right on the nose of for that audience that was into that type of thing. And you're right, it does have goofy moments, but it works. It works really well.
Mm-hmm. Brad, when did you first see Darkman? Did you see it in the theater?
So it's one of those that I can't really recall. I know my mom really was into it. She was always kind of a Liam Neeson fan when I was younger, and I know that my mom turned me on to it. She definitely mentioned it. I don't remember when I very first saw it. Mm-hmm. And it's a film that I definitely give breaks with, and it gets better and better each time that I see it, and then I wonder why I actually left it so long. Because I mean, I bought the Blu-ray when it first came out, the older one, and then I recently had this one, and it's just, and it really surprises me each time, because I think to myself, man, why did I take such a long break to watch this again? And it definitely has like this cult fan base, and it's definitely I have never heard anybody talk any shit about Darkman. The sequels, yes, but not definitely not the original. Yeah.
Well, for the two of you who haven't seen it, it's Darkman is directed by Sam Raimi. It's written by Sam Raimi. I think it's based off like a short story that he did, and then Chuck Pfarrer. I can't pronounce his last name. He wrote the screenplay, but it stars Liam Neeson, Frances McDormand, Colin Farrell, and Larry Drake, who I guess at the time, Larry Drake,
the Coen brothers definitely rewrote that script.
Yeah, they were definitely involved as well, and they were all kind of buddies. I guess they all lived up in Silver Lake, in the LA area, and they were all buddies, and that's the whole reason why Frances McDormand got cast in the film, was because she knew the Coen brothers and they knew Sam Raimi, and so.
So what you're saying is Darkman was the first sort of hipster, comic book movie. That's great. One of those, bunch of those Silver Lake filmmakers getting together, making a little. Oh, I'm the hero, but I'm like burned. I'm all mumblecore. I get it.
I like to give Silver Lake shit just because I had a friend who lived there and I visited there a few times, and I always feel out of place because I'm not wearing skinny jeans and I don't have a mustache. But
it's not too late. You can pick them up. There's actually a skinny jean and mustache store in Sunset Junction, right on the corner there. So next time you're in town, I'll bring you there. And we will also get you some shoes you can wear without socks.
There you go. But see, by the time I actually get around to doing it, mustaches and skinny jeans will be out of style, because that's how progressive.
Yeah, but you can bring them back. Though. There you go.
Being retro.
Mm-hmm. It's funny because I was actually, I think there's a scene when they're going over the medical sort of process of creating Darkman, and I think one of the extras may be one of the Coen brothers.
Yeah, well, one of the extras is I was going to bring this up. One of the Coen brothers, and then
Bruce Campbell has a cameo.
Bruce Campbell has a cameo, and then
Liam Neeson's in it.
Yeah, no. John Landis. John Landis is in it. He has a mask on. Director of American Werewolf in London. And then the nurse is one of the actresses. I'm thinking it's Jenny Agutter. I'm going to pronounce the name wrong. I'm horrible at pronouncing last names. But yeah, so
Jenny Agutter. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. That's how you spell it.
So I think she plays the nurse. So it's pretty funny, listening to the commentary on this, and you kind of get little bits and pieces of the stuff.
Dude, Neil McDonough is in that movie. I don't know how you say his last name either. But fucking, Dum Dum from Captain America.
Yeah. Well, I got to bring this up too about this movie. I think this has the most ever henchmen ever in any movie I've ever seen. The opening scene to this movie is just incredible, with all the henchmen coming out of the woodwork.
Yeah, it definitely has. I mean, there's henchmen subplots, henchmen like romances going on. Because what was it, like Rick goes, like Ted Raimi goes missing,
right?
And then they're blaming the bald guy,
right?
And there's, yeah, it's definitely a rich underworld.
Do you guys know that bald guy's name? Because he's one of those guys I always see him playing a bad guy, especially in late '80s and '90s. You guys know who that is? He's a character actor.
You're not talking about Larry Drake?
No, not Larry Drake. No.
The bald guy, the guy who Darkman puts the mask on and imitates.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm.
Man,
yeah, I don't remember that guy's name.
Anyway,
no, it's Baldy McWillie. Baldy McWillens. I think he's from Pasadena. No,
I'm not sure.
I tried.
I'll have to look that up on IMDb. But that dude's awesome, and this is one of those movies where you just have to kind of go with it, because did he come up with a fat suit? Did Darkman do a fat suit? Like, how is he different heights? Is he wearing pumps?
Maybe you didn't pay attention during the nurse's explanation of what their procedure actually does. Because, yes, not only does it, sever your nerve endings, it allows you to completely transform, apparently.
I must have missed that.
Wait. William Lustig's in this movie, too?
Who?
Did you know that? Bill Lustig.
Like the director of Maniac Cop?
Yeah.
Dock Worker number 4. Yep. Yes.
What the?
There you go.
Now I need to pick up this Blue.
That's amazing.
Oh, Scott Spiegel too. He's director of Intruder. He worked with those guys. They've always kind of worked together. Sam Raimi, Scott Spiegel, even Tarantino, with those guys. So yeah.
Nice.
No one knows who Scott Spiegel is. Just me. Okay.
He's wait. Fuck! I wanted to deliver this punchline. He is. Scott Spiegel. You mean pool fight bookie from Jean-Claude Van Damme's Lionheart? Love the guy.
Travis, you need to close your computer.
Are you kidding? This is the only way I'm keeping up with you guys.
This has been Browse IMDb with Sean and Brad.
Amazing.
Hey, I haven't used IMDb. I'm still trying to think of the bald guy's name.
I can't, and I can't.
And if you're on IMDb, why don't you get that name then, Sean?
I don't see a fucking headshot. That's why.
Oh,
I
God.
see the bald guy.
This guy is sort of beyond IMDb.
I guess
people are going to think we're a bunch of hacks because we're doing this podcast and have computers going.
Listen, I got to tell you,
movie facts.
Okay, sure, there might be people who can pull this out of the ether, but
no,
bald guy,
it's too much.
Dark and character actor, sorry.
I'm so glad we have Travis on the show today.
Yeah, guys,
but
I will
now
take all. You can keep your nerd integrity, and I'll just use Google. Bald guy, Dark and character actor. Let's see what it turns up.
Now, did you know that Carrie O'Quinn was the hospital patient in Big Ass Spider?
I did not know that.
I was using IMDb. I was trying to think of the face melter's name.
The face melter? The guy who gets his face melted?
Yeah, that was the Terry guy I just mentioned.
No,
I fucked this up. Oh God.
No, that's a horror director, Adam Gerace, who plays the homeless guy.
Oh, the guy that directed Night of the Demons.
Yeah, Night of the Demons.
The Night of the Demons remake is fantastic, by the way. I know I always get a lot of shit for saying that, but I am a fan of that.
I love it. I mean, he worked with Evan Katz on Autopsy, which, had its moments. But I thought Night of the Demons from beginning to end knew exactly what it was and totally
I thought it was completely solid. Plus a killer-ass soundtrack. I mean, just alone having 45 Grave on there and Typo Negative. Yeah, that was bliss for me.
So the guy we're talking about is Nicholas Worth.
Nicholas Worth.
Countless
there you
goons. Swamp Thing, Darkman, The Ladies Club, Naked Gun, From the Files of Police Squad, etc.
Well, that dude's awesome. So where is he gone? Where is he gone?
He is in heaven now because apparently he is passed.
God damn it!
Here we go. Bring down the show.
Every show we got.
No, this is the most depressing cast ever. This could be actually a theme for you guys.
I know. Well, speaking of other themes, Brad. I know last week I said that I wasn't going to bring up teeth.
Seriously? Like you're doing that as a joke?
I'm not doing it as a joke. This is like one of the first things I noticed when I was watching Darkman. Because, Liam Neeson has kind of like little rat teeth, especially in this movie. Like they kind of just...
That's mean.
Why? I don't know.
You have rat teeth.
He has a broken nose, too. I mean, come on. It's part of his look.
That's because he kicks everybody's ass. At least he's got to have some kind of shit going wrong with him. He's fucking... That was a terror. Who was that? Was that you, Sean?
I bought it. I thought Liam Neeson was on the phone with us. I was like, oh my God, Liam Neeson joined in.
Anyway, all I'm saying is the one thing I noticed was when they show him like all burned up, like his teeth in the makeup on what they don't match, they don't match his face. That's all I'm saying.
What's up with you and teeth?
I heard they really set Liam Neeson's face on fire because he's method. And that's why he didn't really work much after that film for a while, because he had to get reconstructive surgery. But I might have heard wrong. Anyways, go ahead.
I'd buy that.
What does IMDb say?
I don't know. All right,
What's IMDb? I don't ever use IMDb. Everything I know comes from my own experience.
Oh my gosh.
What is this gaggle you talk of? Gaggle.com? I don't know what this is. Google. Yeah.
So one thing I really like about Darkman is the use of, because I think they're pretty successful at using practical effects. I mean, there's a few things that are a bit wonky here and there, but the makeup effects, the kind of the effects where they have the like. I guess they use condoms under like fake skin or whatever to kind of use bubbles, coming up from the whenever his mask would start melting. Did you guys dig the? If you've recently watched this, do you think those effects still hold up?
I mean, I think Raimi's effects for most of his films, like pre-Darkman, and I mean even a little bit after Darkman, because I mean he was an independent filmmaker at first, and even I think Darkman, he's still like there is that and it's still carried over to Darkman, where he still has that independent feel from Evil Dead, even Army of Darkness. Mm-hmm. I mean, I know it's kind of like studio films, I guess you would say. But personally, I think it was independent through and through. That's just how it felt to me. So yeah, his effects. I mean, that's where he came from. And he did Evil Dead. They had shit for that movie, but they made it work. And I still think it. I mean, it's cheesy, but I'd rather see cheesy special effects.
Yeah.
Than computer generated bubbles on somebody's face.
Yeah, totally.
But I mean, it's all what's available to a filmmaker. I mean, if you have to use CGI for effects, I mean, I'm not, it's a little disappointing. But I mean, it all depends, because that's one thing that I always get a little flustered about, is that people always. I mean, I'm not a big CGI fan at all, but people have to understand that, and I'm sure Travis has plenty to say about this too. Is that, making a film, you don't know, like, the logistics and what was happening during that time. You don't know, budget-wise, time-wise, if they could have somebody on there an extra day to pay, the cast and crew to be there for special makeup effects, or, so, give people a break is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
give people a break.
I think Sam, like knows how to shoot practical effects and build a sequence where you're not lingering on them too long so they can do their job. And I think that, like you said, it comes from the sort of lower budget stuff that he had, and where half the trick in selling the gag is the editing, and the shots, in a sequence, constructing it so that the gags come off. I think with Darkman, I mean, it's really fucking crazy how ambitious that movie is in scope for where he was in his career. I mean, like the helicopter sequence, I mean, that's insane. Where he's like smashing through windows, and there's helicopter chase with a stunt guy, hanging from the wire, and then the helicopter gets blown up. I mean, the whole thing on top of the building. I think where maybe he didn't have quite the experience, and it sort of shows in the film, is the compositing sort of effects, which was probably kind of a newer sort of thing at the time, and maybe that doesn't hold up as much, but when you have, 6 shots in a sequence, in a gag, and one of them's a practical effect, he nails it, by just what the other 5 shots are doing. And it's really good. And, the transformation and the reveal, he's cutting around and sort of hiding the gag as much as he is showing it, or more so than he's showing it. So it actually feels really effective.
Yeah. So,
what is your how do you feel about that with between practical effects and computer CGI and stuff? Because I mean, obviously, big portion of Big Ass Spider is CGI, and of course, obviously you can't do some of that stuff logistically with budget wise, but versus like Cheap Thrills that has plenty of blood and good times in it, that's looks great, especially on camera. And how do you feel with the CGI versus practical effects thing? Do you always try to go practical if possible? Do you push for that?
I mean, I think it's determined by necessity. Like on Big Ass Spider, we weren't actually able to get Ray Wise, so we had to digitally create him. But the spider was actually real, so it all balanced out. But no, I mean, I think
that's good.
Yeah, no, that was like the lamest joke. So lame. No, I mean, I think especially on the smaller stuff, when you can do practical effects, because you have sort of a condensed shooting schedule, you're not getting as much coverage. If you can actually have a real gag that actors can really react to, that even more importantly, you can see how that gag affects the environment. Meaning, okay, a head just exploded. Oh, wow, blood flew on that curtain over there. And when we turn around and get the coverage on the person, watching the head explode, look, there's blood over there. There's blood on their face. Like, it's much easier to sort of ground it in a reality when you're using practical, because it's right there. It's actually happening. And like on We Are Still Here, like, I mean, we had dozens and dozens of gore gags that on paper you might want to maybe try digitally, but just the fact that we're able to pull them off on screen allowed us to sort of tweak scenes in sort of, oh wow, if this happened and the goo flew this way, wouldn't it be great if this actor ran over here to avoid it? And the scene sort of evolves because the effect is actually there and is a real component in the scene. But yeah, I mean, I think there's certain things that you have to rely on CG, and a lot of what we've done is using CG to sort of help support practical effects. So unlike Starry Eyes, we have a lot of makeup effects and stuff, and we were able to use CG to come in and sort of soften the edges on some of the makeup effects, and then it's the best of both worlds.
Very cool. Well, so I would say that we all agree that that Darkman pretty much holds up. Is definitely worth people checking out if by some reason they haven't checked it out yet. Yes?
Wait. You guys are talking about Darkman? I thought you were talking about Soul Man.
Oh, man.
Soul Man is a great Blu-ray. Pick it up. Available on Tuesday.
Yeah, I agree. Sorry. C. Thomas Howell looks great in that. I mean, he always
makeup
does,
effects. The makeup effects.
The makeup effects are pretty great.
Yeah.
let's go into it just really quickly. We're starting to run out of time here, but let's talk about the transfer. Because I know that on some of the reviews I've been reading, and then the review that I wrote, we've all brought up that the transfer is basically it's the master that was used for the previous Universal Blu-ray release, but it looks like Scream Factory came in and they did it. It's a let me see if I get this straight. The original it's the same master, but Scream Factory did a brand new transfer. So people are noticing some artifacts, some DNR, digital noise removal, things like that. So I wanted to bring that up with this Blu-ray. Did you guys notice that? Because I noticed it a little bit. I noticed that, this looks pretty clean, but it still looked, like an older movie. So I wasn't really, grading it to,
I mean,
up to a lot. What do you guys think?
I mean, I think it looks great. It's definitely the best that you'll get out there of Darkman, even with the older Blu-ray. I think the sound, like I said, I said earlier, the sound's great. Just Scream Factory touched this up, and it looks really, really, really good. It's a little dark sometimes. I think you even said it's a little waxy and glossy at certain points. But to be honest with you, with a film like this in particular, it was hard for me to actually keep on looking at to see if there was if I noticed big differences because I got sucked into the movie.
Yeah,
and that happens with things like this because I think Darkman is legitimately like a good. It's a very, very good film, and it's definitely a movie that you can get lost in very quickly. But I don't think there's anything wrong with the transfer. I think it's good.
No, yeah, I'm not going to complain about it. I wanted to bring up the audio too because this is a Danny Elfman score, and I don't know if this was. I mean, it's very bombastic and loud. A lot like it's a Danny Elfman score. I mean, you can tell his scores for the most part. Just by hearing them, very reminiscent of Beetlejuice and Batman. So if you put those in a blender, that's the Darkman score.
No, and it does like I said, it sounds great. I have pretty decent sound system with a subwoofer, and my house was shaking, so I call that a plus. Yeah, in a good way.
I liked it. Travis, have you seen the Scream Factory Blu-ray, or have you just seen this, streaming, or when's the last time you watched it?
No comment.
All right.
YouTube clips 30 minutes ago. Looks
along.
Great.
Oh man, that's hilarious. Okay, so let's move into talking about the special features, Brad, real quick. I mean, this is a pretty loaded.
Yeah, the fact that Scream Factory always gets whoever worked on the film, but I mean they're necessarily working with a lot of horror films that are lost, and maybe the actresses didn't really go too far, or but Liam Neeson's still a box office draw, and the fact that they got him for an interview, a new interview, not anything for the archives, I thought was fucking fantastic, especially having Larry Drake and just this camaraderie, all these people like come in and do new interviews. Scream Factory really, really did a number on this release with interviews like that. Yeah. So it's definitely a plus. Well, I was shocked myself. I knew Raimi probably wouldn't do it. That's the only thing. Raimi didn't really participate in the release, and that sucks a little bit. But Liam Neeson did, and I think that's a little bit bigger than Raimi myself. But whatever. No,
it's great. Like there's some great interviews, kind of candid too, with him, with Liam Neeson, and then Frances McDormand's pretty great. It's fun seeing Larry Drake, a more puffy Larry Drake, interviewed here. And then the audio commentary is pretty great. It's I didn't write down who it's moderated by, but it's with the director of photography, Bill Pope, and they just have it's a great conversation. It's a very conversational commentary, and not very stale at all. It's fun to listen to if you're into commentaries. So I'd say there's the only thing missing was a comprehensive documentary, but if Sam Raimi's not going to participate, then there's really no sense editing together. Yeah,
I mean, of course, he's definitely busy, but so is Liam Neeson. But
yeah,
dude, so is Bill Pope.
I just say, if you're gonna, when people say, shit about, why didn't you do this Scream Factory? Why didn't you that? Because they're working on fucking interviews with Liam Neeson. That's why, so they brought that shit to you. It's not, like I said, it's not a freaking archive or anything. It's a fucking new interview with Liam Neeson on a Scream Factory release, which is, I think, kind of like a turning point for Scream. Like I honestly, when I read that they were doing a new interview with Liam Neeson, I was definitely impressed. Yeah. Very, very impressed by that.
Well, I mean, Bill Pope's working on pre-production for Ant-Man right now. He did.
Oh my God! Would you get off IMDb?
He did
like sending you
No.
Hey,
we were at a restaurant earlier today where Bill Pope was with Edgar Wright. Thank you very much. This is insider scoop that we're giving you.
I'm not on IMDb. What are you talking about? Nothing.
I don't even have an internet connection. I'm in a cabin in Montana in the woods. I'm talking to you on a ham radio that I made out of yak bones and penguin guts.
We know people. We have our ears to the ground in Hollywood, people. Dear listener,
yeah, exactly. We're connected. We don't know what it's like there in Florida, but where we're at, we got the skinny.
Exactly. Oh, it's terrible down here. I'll just say, don't ever come to Florida.
Well, I would say, kind of wrapping up talking about the Darkman release for Scream Factory. I mean, it's what it run, like $22, something like that. And
yeah, it's one of the more expensive ones, but fucking trust me, there's a reason why. Yeah. I mean, it's they did, even though they might not have, for the transfer geeks out there, the best possible one, or you thought they could do better, but this thing's packed with special features that will entertain you for a good couple hours.
Yeah, totally. So I say it's definitely worth it. I mean, if you're going to spend, I guess the other one is $10 or you're going to spend $20. It just depends what you're...
I mean, it's Darkman. I mean, and plus it's a legitimately good movie. So
yeah, definitely.
I'm going to Google search things you can buy for $22 before I answer whether or not this is a good value.
All right. What can we buy for $22?
A standing desk. let me see. Hold on. That's all I got.
Okay. Sorry. All right. So either you get a standing desk or frickin' Darkman. Okay. I think we've made it clear what you should buy.
Perfect.
The standing desk.
The standing desk, because sitting down all day long hurts your back. You really need to stand up every now and then.
Do you have a standing desk in that cabin that you're staying at in Montana, Travis?
I'm making it. I'm whittling it.
Then you can buy the Darkman Blu-ray.
There you go. So you don't.
Once I sell this goddamn desk, I can.
All right. Well, guys, I think that's going to do it for.
Oh no! One thing. We kind of had some kind of breaking news. Even though we just started. We actually we talk about Scream Factory a lot, and they're definitely great, but there's no reason why we can't. There's a few other companies out there that are kind of doing the same thing and doing a great job at what they do, and that's Vinegar Syndrome and Scorpion Releasing. They're both doing horror films, kind of the same thing as Scream Factory, trying to pack in a bunch of interviews, as much as content as they can for these films that aren't huge. And of course, Scream Factory takes a little bit more pride in their packaging, but Vinegar Syndrome's doing a kick-ass job. And just for all you horror fans out there, I was told I could say this on our podcast that Graduation Day is going to be released in August with a 4K treatment on Vinegar Syndrome. And then October, they're going to be releasing Last House on Dead End Street, both on Blu-ray, hopefully packed with some special features on there. But they are getting the 4K treatment, so I think that's kind of a little bit of a big deal, because now these other companies are doing what Scream Factory does, and of course they didn't start the whole thing, but few companies are taking great pride in these releases, and I'm glad to see that other people are hopping on this bandwagon. So, nice. But that's it. Boom.
Cool. And
Graduation Day.
Scorpion releasing is what's the movie they have coming out very soon?
They've announced it to the public. They were doing House on Sorority Row and House on Sorority Row and Sorority House Massacre.
Nice.
They're doing both of those, and they've released like Day of the Animals, like Beach Girls, which is a great sex comedy. They've done Pom Pom Girls, My Tutor, shit like that, and they all look great. Vinegar Syndrome, the same. I suggest picking up anything in their catalogs, because all the Blu-rays look great.
Very nice. I'll go ahead and throw links to those two companies on the show notes. You can go to thescreamcast.com and listen to our podcast there and read reviews and stuff like that. Show notes will be there.
And watch Unhung Hero.
Unhung Hero, we got to give a plug for that. So yeah, you can find us on Twitter at Scream_cast. And you can find me, Sean C. DeRager. Not going to spell it out for you.
No, don't worry about it. No one really cares.
Travis, where can people find you on the internet, the wide world of internet?
As far as like former felons, like websites,
no,
because I'm fine to live next to this high school. It's totally proof. No, Twitter at Travis Stevens, nice. Instagram at Travis Stevens, Facebook Travis Stevens. Don't confuse me with the Olympic judo star Travis Stevens, because I practice jiu-jitsu.
Wait, that's not judo. Who you are?
Fuck. Sorry. Sorry. Yep. Hit me up. Cool. I like friends. And then can we just have just a little shout out to Sarah Jones, who was a second AC who was in a horrible accident this week on Midnight Rider. I don't know if you guys heard about that, but
no.
But basically there was a biopic on Greg Allman shooting outside of Atlanta, and there was a horrible accident, and a bunch of people got hurt, and second AC was killed, and it's just a reminder that no shot is more important than the safety of everybody making the movie, and hopefully, this mistake will be investigated, and they will bring the people responsible to justice.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's an online petition to get her photo added to the Oscar in memoriam thing. Okay. So you can go to.
We could put a link to that too.
Yeah, I'll put a link in the show notes. And Travis, if you can just email that to me, or just tweet it at me or something like that.
Yeah,
we'll get that. We'll get that on the show notes. Cool. Awesome. And Brad, where can people find you on Twitter?
I'm at Brad F. Henderson, and you can find me on Twitter.
And then you write for.
I write for Pop Shifter. I gave Big Ass Spider a decent review. Boom, there you go.
All right.
You can read it there.
It's okay.
It's 60% of the review is awesome, and then the other 40%, it's it's there.
Man, I don't lie, but I tell you what, it definitely surprised me. So there you go.
Cool.
There we go.
Well, I want to thank everyone for listening to our second episode of the podcast. We'll talk to all of you. We're going to try to do these, like I said, every couple weeks. And, follow us on Twitter and Facebook and all that to get hints at what we may be covering next. Travis, again, thank you very much. Brad?
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, sir.
See you guys later.
All of you have a great next couple weeks. Bye-bye.
Oh, don't tell me you're leaving. The party's just begun.